I have 10 minutes in a dream, let's yap. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, I have 10 minutes to discuss Nagi's hypothetical return, whether or not I want to have more than I don't. Let's not waste more time. Let's start this 10-minute timer. This is my thoughts in 3, 2, now. Okay. So initially, I was going to include this in like the little Nagi breakdown or Nagi fall apart video, essentially, right? Like I was going to talk about how episode Nagi is kind of now Greek tragedy, how ultimately Nagi's return is going to do this and that and the third. But I was like, well, that video is already going to be long as all get out and it's going to be scripted. And I feel like this is a separate enough topic that I do just want to talk about it in general because I've seen hot debate in the community. So Nagi's return is something that almost feels digi-destined. I'm not going to sit here and deny that, right? Like, he makes too much money. He's a little too popular still. Sure, me and many others who either were once Nagi Glazers or were at least neutral to the character now just don't like him because he fell off a cliff. But that doesn't change the fact that he's still one of the most popular characters that the series has ever produced. For manga readers, especially for anime watchers who haven't even gotten to the fall at this point, and it's literally got to the point where he has his own manga, which is now Greek tragedy. So, like, from a financial money perspective, locking off one of your most popular characters just doesn't make any sense. But sealing them away from the narrative for a while and building up hype to their hypothetical return does make sense. So, I will not sit here and debate on the idea that Nagi coming back would be a logical play to make as a writer, because it is. We've seen this tactic many a time before in other manga, where a mangaka, or not even just a manga, but like in continuous long-form storytelling, where a very popular character will get sealed, will get slain in some cases where like characters can come back, think of Dragon Ball, or characters will be removed from the plot for a training arc. Like something will happen to a character that is very, very popular, and then what the mangaka does is bait and tease people with the idea of their hypothetical return. So like that seems to be the path that Nagi would go down, but all that being the case, the real question is, do I actually want him back? And what does him coming back mean for the narrative of Blue Lock? Because those are two intertwined issues, right? Because like I like Nagi, I really, really do. He was once my favorite character, but once again, I kind of like what his removal from the narrative means for the philosophy and essential narrative core of Blue Lock. The idea that if you do not have that own innate desire and you didn't take the numerous times, the numerous opportunities you had to develop it, you just get locked off. And you got to move on and figure out something new in life. That's kind of how life works. You miss an opportunity, oh well, you better fight for the next one. But it's not that Nagi didn't fight for the next one, it's that he didn't fight for the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And personally, I find that insane. So him getting locked off makes narrative sense. And ultimately, the main issue I have with him coming back in any way, shape, or form, whether it be on another team, or heck, especially if it's him coming back to Blue Lock in some way, shape, or form, or the Japan U20 national team, or the Professional World Cup team, because a lot of people, I've seen the common community consensus, is that we're losing him for the entirety of the U20 World Cup arc. There are people who are once hoping and coping, especially with like the whole 50 days until the U20 World Cup, that someone in the top 23 was going to get injured, and then Nagi is 24 would have to come back in. But like, unless that ends up happening, a lot of people just kind of agreed, all right, we're losing him for the U20 World Cup arc. Like, that's kind of just happening. Just like we lost Kunigami for the entirety of third selection and the entirety of the U20 World Cup arc. Or no, the U20 match. But, big butt dishes, booty butt cheeks, the main reason I kind of don't want that is because, one, we would have to assume that Nagi would get massively more powerful in massively worse conditions, right? Because ultimately, one of the biggest things that people sometimes don't think about is that Blue Lock power creep and power cliffing exists. It does. It's not your traditional battle manga where they're punching up to a point and then it gets impossible for characters to catch up. But it kind of is. In the sense that Neo Icarus League Isagi from Game 4 is a completely different character than Game 1 Neo Icarus League Isagi. Heck, even the differences between games for Isagi alone, and of course Isagi's the main character, make him completely different. And now we're going to have 23 players competing in the World Cup. The U20 World Cup, actually battling and experiencing the world. Nagi coming back after all that, whether it be he's in his own club doing his own thing, whether it be he's training on his own, whether he do all that, it would be a little bit too absurd. It would be a little bit too absurd and a little bit too much. And unlike with Kunigami, who had the wildcard program to buff him up and just wasn't gone for that long in the grand scheme of things, like he was gone for third selection and the U20 match. Like that's actually not that long. Presumably the World Cup arc is going to last a minute in universe and out. So Nagi coming back would be really, really weird on like a power scaling perspective. I know some people are going to be like, oh, Pencil's talking about power scaling. Yes, Pencil's talking about power scaling because it matters, gosh darn it. But the other thing I wouldn't like is that Nagi getting another chance after he already got chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance would kind of undermine the narrative. The idea that you take your opportunities when they're presented to you, and if you lose them, you lose them. That's kind of like the whole point. We open up this series with it. The idea that Isagi had a chance to take his role as a striker and score, but just like Nagi, he got scared and passed, and the bag was fumbled. Except in Nagi's case, he fumbled the bag specifically because he passed basically right to Bachira. But that's the thing. Rewarding Nagi for that within Eventual Resurrection doesn't feel right either. It doesn't fit into the meta-narrative and literal narrative. Like, it's not even, like, to a point, it's not even meta-narrative. The literal narrative of Blue Lock about chances and making sure to use them when you have them, and the consequences of not taking chances. So I feel like that would be wrong too. And to top it all off, the main reason why I low-key don't want him to come back is because I feel like it adds that extra weight that Blue Lock was not necessarily missing, but more so existed in implication rather than application. For a majority of the series, no one really relevant got locked off. Like, unless you're one of the -5 Kuon fans out there, or you're one of the Kira Cobra, like, no one really cared about anyone. Kunigami was close, but once again, I almost said I said his name horrifically wrong there. But then again, Kunigami got undone relatively quickly. He wasn't gone for that long in the grand scheme of things. Like, he mentioned this, but, like, he really wasn't. But, with that being the case, who relevant got locked off? Nobody. At least not that I can think of. Not that I can think of. So cutting off Nagi makes Blue Lock and its philosophy of sacrificing even genius level talent like Nagi feel real, feel tangible. This is a character we followed for such a long time. This is a character we've seen grow, develop, but hit a plateau, hit his peak, reach satisfaction, and fail, which is true to life and makes the narrative feel heavier. And if we have to sacrifice Nagi to make the narrative feel heavier and more tangible and thicker and juicier, I'm willing to do it. Especially because the final sleeper reason I kind of don't want Nagi back, he's at this point redundant. That's the big thing on Nagi's hypothetical return. Sure, he has things that only he can do thanks to his trapping ability, but like, we have a bunch of strikers that are already going to be competing, not really, but competing for screen time. Rin, Isagi, Shido, and Baro alone are all strikers. Even if you want to be really mean to Isagi for some reason, that's 3. And they're going to be competing. And let's not talk about the people who probably won't be playing in the striker role, but are also strikers individually like themselves. Such as Yukimaya, Chihiri, Bachira, Kunigami. Like, there's so many different characters that already fill similar narrative roles. And unlike Reo, which is going to be a rare instance of Reo glaze from that guy with the pencil. But Reo can do anything. Like, legitimately, the one thing I have to give them that he can do literally, he could probably throw him in goalie and he'd figure it out. Nagi does nothing. He fills one particular role, and he has his moments of supporting. He had his moments of, like, being in the midfield, but not as good as Reo. Not as good as Hiyori. Not as good as Kurose. Not as good as any other midfielder. He only succeeds in the one role, which is already overcrowded to the moon and back. So for all the positives that come with Nagi being gone, I don't want him back. Which is crazy, because I love Nagi. But it's too late. It's too late. And essentially, the thing is, if it were to be undone in any way, shape, or form, it would feel like Kaneshiro Sensei was too scared to commit to the bit. And I don't ever want to say that about Kaneshiro Sensei, but it would feel like resurrecting a character in a universe where characters aren't supposed to be resurrected. Even though Nagi's not dead, he's just locked off. Do I mind following him in his own little story in episode Nagi? No, I actually would like that. I would like to see him do his own thing, but I don't want him to return to Blue Lock. Because I think ultimately it would just make the story, its themes, its ideology weaker. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind if episode Nagi ended at chapter 300 or 301. I don't know what is in the future of Nagi. I think ultimately the smarter economic choice would be to bring him back in some way, shape, or form. But from the bottom of my heart, if you want to know my thoughts on the matter, Nagi is gone and should stay gone. Since we've done it, we shouldn't undo it. But of course, those are my thoughts. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching as the timer clicks out. Or not. Yeah, as the timer clicks out. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave failed resurrection in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you do have a Patreon down below. You support me for as low as $1, get a $1, $1. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You'll also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reactions, the series I have to review, ad variations of all my videos, and if you become a $12 Patreon or a $12 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, you do a link to my top 5 in the description down below. You can drop 5 beans for a short video, 20 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier XZ, Zara, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Gyomi, Yuki Ally, Buddha Uda, Azo 2404, Planet Crone, G Prosper, Nevis 97, and Ollie. I'd like to give a big old thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Nirvana Igneel, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, and A+A. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our Inc. tier members: Fine, Austin Wimberly, Euchia, Carlo Alaimo, and Grim. And then I'd like to give a big old hefty thank you to our digital art tier members: Jay Warrior and AZ Void. And then I'd like to give a big old thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Waki Munoz and Waki Munoz. And then I'd finally like to give a giga super duper kidney sacrificing thank you to our ultimate, that guy with a heart on the horizon, Calvin Elder.